In this tutorial, we're going to look at creating cross-sections from your 3D model. So we've got a resource file that we can open, and it should be in the resource folder that's going to be supplied with this video tutorial. And here you can see we've got a 3D model. It's been modeled with fairly moderate detail. So it has 3D weatherboards and quite a bit of window detail. So if we go to the cross-section tool, I'm going to click on the cross-section tool, and we can use our arrows to lock it in certain directions. So I'm going to choose the right arrow for the red axis and click. And you can see it started a cross-section. I can then select the cross-section, use the move tool and move that forward so that it cuts through the window. Then what I want to do is right click on that cross section and then select create group from slice. And so essentially that takes a cut through your model and your cross section. So we can now turn off the section cut, and if we go to layers, I'm going to create a layer for the section. So section, let's say AA, and we can move that to the section AA layer. I have put the house on its own layer, so the house can turn off straight away, leaving just the section cut. And we can turn off the display of the section tool now to leave just the section group from slice. Next, what we need to do is create a view. So using the standard views, just bring the toolbar in, I can choose one of the views here. So it's going to be the right view. And we need to ensure that to get a perfectly flat 2D view, we need to turn the perspective off. So we're going to go to camera, turn off perspective, so it's 100% flat. And let's just zoom in on the model. So you can do that using a zoom window, for example. And we can drag a selection around where we'd like to zoom into. And that should fit the screen quite nicely. And I'll just put this section tool back away. Alright, so now we need to save it as its own scene. And just before we do that, I might just set it to black and white because I want the style of the section just to be a black and white section. So I'm going to go to hidden line on the display settings, down to scenes, click on the add button to create a new scene, which will warn me that the style has changed, and I want to save it as a new style because I don't want to overwrite my 3D view. So if I go back to 3D view 1, you can see it's still in color, and I can still see the section tool. So I can turn off the section display, right click and update scene 1, and then I can update the style so it doesn't show the section display. In the same scene, I could turn off the section group from slice, so we don't see that 2D cut on the garage door. Right click and update scene 1 again, or 3D view 1 again. So the 3D views still can be used and maintained. If I go to the scene 2 now, my section scene, you can see that I've now displaying that really well. So let's call that section A and then A. Okay, so let's open up the section group from slice. So we'll double click on that. And you're going to find that it's in multiple groups and components. So if we create a group from slice, it's going to recognize every group that we've got in the SketchUp model and break the group from slice down into groups. So we can see the whole house is one group. So if I double click on that, the roof was one group, the walls were their own group. So it's actually really handy. You can quickly find things, and for example, I don't need that foundation slab anymore because I'm going to add my own and delete that. So what I can do now is I can either draw my foundation details, but I've went ahead and created some myself. So if we go File, Import, I'm going to set the file types to be SketchUp. You then need to go to your location where you've saved your components. and these will be under the resources folder supplied. Then we're going to go to the foundation detail component and import that. And you can see it's now come in, but it's not quite the right direction, so I can just place it with the move tool, click on the little cross, rotate it 180 degrees, and then I can bring that in and place it over there. If I want to copy over this side, I can press Control and copy, right click, and you can't see it, but we've got flip along. Try that again, right click, flip along, and we're going to go the green axis. Nope, if it's the wrong axis, just do the next one, so it'll be the red, and then I can move that so it lines up with the outside of the walls. Then what I can do is edit the component, press H on my keyboard, because I've got a shortcut turned on for hiding the rest of the model. And if we go to the select tool, I can select the end of the foundation, get the move tool and move it towards the center, and then I can line it up with the midpoint or of the line above, and then I can delete the line between the two foundations so that we've now got our foundation floor showing quite well. Okay, so let's say you wanted to make, let's say you wanted to create like a top plate and create your own components. So if we go here, I could just select the roof, and I'm just going to go down to the curve in there and get that component and just move it away from the wall 10, because in the 3D model I just put it straight on the wall, I didn't allow for any jib. So then from the top of the jib here I'm going to come down, on top of the framing I'm going to come down, let's say 45. Okay, so with the rectangle tool I can create a top plate, so I'm going to grab that and go 145, 35, enter, and I'm going to select the new surface I created, right click and make it a component. So this is quite interesting. When you create the component and you want to use it in layout, it's good to give it the actual name of the component that you want it to be, because when you note or make annotations in layout, it's going to find the component and give it the name of the component. So I'll show you how that works real soon. So we're going to go 145, 35, top plate. We're going to set the gluing to any, so that it finds any plane when you bring it in. Now we can set the axis insertion point up into the top left corner, like so. Okay, and we want to make sure replace selection with component is ticked, so we go create. Then we can just add a couple extra lines in there just to show that it's actually a cross section. And then we can go to the walls here. I can get out and find the wall group and then select the top of the wall and move that down. And you can see now that I've got my top plate. If I want to save that as my own component, I could go back inside to the component, right click, and I can save that as a top plate component and overwrite that. Then what I could do is just draw across to the other side, and we can leave this a square stop above the garage door. Then I could allow for a 10mm amount of jib, so I could go down 10mm, get the line tool, draw that in, and then over here we can then draw another bit of jib right down into there. Okay. And I can get rid of that. Okay, so you can start to build up your component really quickly. So if I was to bring in another little nog, I could do that. So let's go import, and we could go find the nog component. It's going to just snap to an endpoint, and then I can just move that down. If I want to copy that down, I can then bring it down lower like there for example, and then put it onto the ground. So you can really quickly just build up your section using components. So once you've created a few, you can just import them and bring them in really quick. So just bring in the 2D components and just add the lintels there. Then I could bring in some roof cladding, for example, so I could get rid of that object there. I could then go to File, Import, and I've just created a big roof cladding that can be adjusted, so I can go Import and just put it on the insertion point there. I could then get the Rotate tool and rotate it from there to there. So that's now put it along the roof. And then I can, with the Rotate tool again, and using the right plane, so if you're not sure which plane to use, change your view. Get the Rotate tool and find maybe the green axis plane. Click there to begin, press Control, and then copy it to the other side, 180. And you can see there that it's now put that on there. So it's just a really quick and intuitive way of building up a 2D cross section within SketchUp. And I can just adjust my view just a little bit so you can see that the foundation details are showing. Okay, you could do more and add more, but this is just a quick tutorial to show you the concept. Now I'm ready to send this over to layout. So I've had a save. I can now go to File, Send to Layout. Okay, save again because it's asking me to. Now in layout, you would have already received a template that you would have loaded and saved as your own. So I'm going to select this and go Open. And here we are, we've got my got the section cut here now. So if we now go to, if we go and just minimize some of these, we'll open up SketchUp Model and go to the View tab. We can see here we've got the last save view, which is not ideal. We want it to say section AA. We want to ensure that it's really locked onto that view. You then need to set your current scale. So we're going to go 1 to 50. And we can place that onto the component, onto the sheet. And what it does once you set the scale is it preserves the scale on resize. So whenever I adjust the outside edges, I don't really need to see the fence. I could bring that across. You can see here now that we've got the section. I could also, under View, just turn off the hide grids because I just want it to look like a nice black and white sheet. So we've brought in the section. It's now to scale. We can now start to label everything on the section. So if we zoom in here, you can see, oh no, it's actually pretty terrible quality. So I want to make that a lot better, so I'm going to select it. So select this section. And in the SketchUp model dialog again, we're going to select either vector or hybrid. Vector's all good because we only really need the lines. And it's just going to say it can take a while, so we're going to not see this message again and say OK. And so now when we zoom in, you can see that the detail's all there. If you need to change the line weight, you can select the model and go to Styles, and you can set the line thickness a little bit finer if you like to, like maybe 0.25 enter, and then you can see it's a much finer line. Okay, so we're ready to label. So you've got to click on your label tool, and I'm going to zoom in here, and I'm going to just click on the cladding. So I'm going to click on a part of the cladding, click over to here, and then bring it to there. Now, as soon as I click there, it's saying roof cladding, but I've got a few options under there. So when I created the component, under the description, I added a note for that. So I'm going to select my note, and then I can click away. And it's popped me out of layout, so I can try that again. So I clicked away, and it's not the right shape, so I can double click on the note, and I can make it a bit taller and a little bit shorter. So you can just adjust the text box. You can also adjust where the location is of the leader. So if you want it at the top right or the middle, you can put it wherever you like. Okay, so that was quite good. If I wanted to get the purlin, I could go to the leader text again, and I could choose a different area. I want a similar kind of angle to my line, so I can find parallel to that, click. And I can also line it up there, click. And this time I'm going to go and find the roof cladding. Should be one roof cladding component. I may have missed it, so I might just try that again because I want to get the purlin. So I might just zoom in nice and close and make sure I've got the purlin entity. Touch the line again, parallel, click, line it up with the point above, click, and this time I should have it. There it is. Since I clicked on the purlin, it's going to give me the details for the purlin, and then I can click away and click away, and there we have it. It's now made it the same as above, and then I can double click on the leader line again, drag it up just to create a bit of space, and I'm just going to make it a little bit shorter. And then I can also just change the position up to the top right. So you can see how quickly it is to just start to create your notes using components in SketchUp, and just document it all in layout.